Hollow Knight might be one of my biggest surprises of 2017. I mean, I certainly expected to enjoy the game. I'm a fan of metroidvanias, and Hollow Knight checks every single one of those boxes perfectly, but I was a bit taken aback by how much the game drew me in. Fantastic storytelling, an incredible soundtrack, excellent world design, and bombastic boss battles wove together to form an experience that went above and beyond what I expected when I picked the game up. I've not seen much by the way of media coverage of Hollow Knight since its release. It reviewed pretty well, but there wasn't a whole lot of chatter about it. Even on YouTube, where I expected to see some analyses on the game, the channels that I watch at least haven't really talked about it at all. Maybe I'm alone in how enamored I am with this game, but I knew pretty quickly after I started it that it was one that I wanted to talk about on the channel. Specifically, about how Hollow Knight's precise action makes the moment-to-moment gameplay shine. One of the biggest determining factors in how enjoyable a game is to play lies in the responsiveness of the controls, or rather, the relationship between how responsive the controls are and the design philosophy of the game. Some are meant to be a bit floaty. This is relatively the norm within platforming games, and having a predictable amount of looseness to the controls isn't uncommon, such as in Super Mario Bros. Action games usually have a pretty low amount of input lag, allowing for precise movement and a high feeling of control during combat. Hollow Knight, as near as I can tell, has zero input lag and feels absolutely fantastic to play. Having the amount of control that this lack of input lag provides means that the player can react much quicker to what is happening on screen. This was a particularly large boon when it came to designing enemy encounters, both with regular enemies and bosses. Tight controls means that the player can be expected to be able to perform more intricate maneuvers during combat, and this had an obvious impact on enemy design. Many enemies have relatively short tells before performing an attack, but never to the point of being unfair. Bosses themselves make great use of this. It wasn't uncommon for me to feel like I was performing some sort of ballet while dodging attacks and darting into counter with my own whenever a boss would present me with an opening. Combat also has a weight to it that lends to how great it feels. Whenever you attack an enemy with your nail, the weapon you wield, there is force exerted. With smaller enemies, this tends to push you both back from each other a bit, while larger enemies are heavy enough that they stand their ground as your blows land. This may not sound like much, but combined with little touches like screen shake from heavy attacks, everything freezing for a moment when you get hit to really sell that impact, and the way sound gets dampened for a short time when you get damaged, all of these fantastic little details add a feeling of urgency to combat. The force of swinging your nail even has uses outside of combat, such as being able to bounce across spikes and other hazards to get to seemingly inaccessible areas. There was even an instance where I was able to take advantage of terrain clutter to reach a ledge that I shouldn't have been able to get to yet. Combat isn't the only aspect of Hollow Knight's action that shines, either. The Kingdom of Hallownest is a veritable treasure trove of precision platforming, with most of the new abilities you find throughout your journey focused on how you interact with the world around you through movement, instead of the lock and key sort of abilities that are more common in games like Metroid. The fact that most of these abilities are movement-centric places an increased emphasis on awareness of the way the world is laid out around you, and rewards thinking critically about how to use the environment to your advantage, whether it be for combat or just traversing from one place to another. While many of these movement abilities don't do anything particularly new, they build upon each other wonderfully and give a great sense of progression. As you backtrack through places that you've previously explored, your new abilities usually make it easier and faster to get where you want to go. With the majority of the game taking place underground, the world was designed to be extremely vertical, and it makes use of that verticality exceptionally well. The size of your jumps varies based on how long the jump button is held down, giving you a lot of control over your movement during your exploration. Wall jumps, double jumps, dashes, and more all give you a stunning amount of aerial control. The acrobatics that you can perform by using all of your abilities look incredible, and feel great to pull off. Areas are excellently designed for this, filled with platforms for you to bounce to and from without feeling unnatural and video gamey. All of this combines to become one of the most mechanically satisfying games I've played in a long while. Hollow Knight may not try anything drastically new with the Metroidvania formula, but in my opinion, it doesn't really need to and was an absolute blast to play. And while I've kept this video focused on the mechanical action of Hollow Knight, that isn't the only thing that it has going for it. The art and music are fantastic, the characters are well written, and I became a lot more attached to them than I expected to, and I was surprised by how hard the story hit me emotionally. All in all, Hollow Knight is a game that I absolutely adore. And if any of this sounds like it might be up your alley, then I encourage you to take a look at it. I can't recommend it enough.